Hello friends, I have a problem. And that problem is that I have far too many jumpers and also far too many books. How am I going to tackle this problem? It is currently the 1st of March, which means spring is on the way. I live in the northeast of England, for those who don't know as well, so it usually is very cold here from between sort of September time to April, sometimes May. So I will be wearing these jumpers for most of the year. And I'm a very cold person as well. I'm like a little lizard, so I need to bask in the sun to get warm. And with there being very little sun in the UK as a whole, that is very hard for me to do. So I have a lot of jumpers, and I have accumulated these over many years of collecting my nice cozy pieces. But this is currently too much. I literally could not fit these all in my wardrobe. They were falling out. They were exploding out of my cupboard. So, it is time to tackle this problem. I really am also on a mission this year and over the next couple of years to sort out all of my natural items versus my polyester and nasty synthetic items. And eventually I would like to have a wardrobe that is pretty much fully consistent of natural cotton, wool, alpaca materials. So this is the start of that. I'm not planning on throwing everything away today. I'm not planning on, just getting rid for the sake of getting rid, because I think that's also wasteful. But I am planning to just do a big sort out and start the process of selling some bits on Vinted, donating to charity potentially as well, and just clearing out my space, getting rid of some of the nasty, fully 100% polyester bits as well that I just don't want in my wardrobe anymore. They make me sweaty. I don't like to wear them. It's just not the vibe. It's just not the vibe anymore. And also in this, like I said, we have my giant book pile in the corner. Some of these will be getting sold to Vinted. Others I will be setting up a free little library with, and you will be taken on this little journey with me as I do a big unhaul, set my free little library in my tattoo studio, and also probably look at my shelves which are above me here, which are full of my To Be Read shelves. These To Be Read shelves, hello, little toes as well, these To Be Read shelves are also overflowing, and it is becoming a problem. And I'm also beginning to feel just totally overwhelmed by the amount of books that I have to read. So I think I'm going to go through, have a little spruce out. I don't mind having quite a few books to read, but at this point, there are some things that I'm no longer interested in reading and will probably never get to. So I think I'm going to take them in for the donations as well to my free little library. Follow me through this process. I will take you through in this video, and we will get jumpers sorted and books sorted as well. Big unhaul coming your way. So, sorting has been completed. We have a couple different piles here, so directly in front of me, this is the pile of things that are 100% synthetic materials, and you would be shocked to see some of the stuff that's in here. So for example, I have here a anthropology jumper. So this would have at least cost like £100, at least, probably more towards like £140, £150, and it is 100% polyester. And it's such a shame because look, it's really nice. It's a lovely jumper. Luckily, I actually got this on Vinted, so it's not too much of a hit for me. But the fact that brands like Anthropology can pass themselves off as being like sort of semi-luxury brands. They're not quite obviously on the like super high-end tailored sort of section, but they do sell themselves at a premium above other brands like, for example, Monkey, of which I have two things here that are 100% cotton and 100% natural materials. So I just really think that there is absolutely no excuse for you to be paying £140 to have something that is entirely plastic, that is entirely made of plastic. So yes, I have a big pile here of stuff that's 100% synthetic that I will definitely be replacing or getting rid of and unhauling and selling over time. Like I said, I am also of the opinion that you should be wearing these things until they wear out. Like, I don't think you should buy any clothes just for a fad, for a trend, and then only wear them a couple of times, then just get rid of them. That's also not who I am. I don't believe in waste. It's really terrible for the environment. However, I also don't want these kind of materials and these kind of things to be around me all the time. But I am also aware that there are people who, for example, have a wool allergy, who can't wear full wool jumpers, who will really appreciate stuff like this because they are actually able to wear it. So they will hopefully go on to a better home. I'm particularly upset about this one though because I love burgundy and I look at it, it's really nice. This one might be one of the ones that I keep around for a little while until I can find a suitable replacement, but I'm not rushing out to buy and replace everything here because I don't need it. I don't need this many things. I feel like I used to be the type of person who was like, oh, I need a black jumper and a black cardigan and a black crop jumper, and like, I don't. Like, one thing will fit all of these boxes, and that is fine. I want to be the person who wears through everything. I want to be the person who wears everything they own really consistently and eventually ends up having to mend them because, like, they're so well loved and so well worn. I want to be that person, and that is the person I am slowly becoming. This, for example, has this little rag that I'm wearing right now. I've probably had for coming up like 10 years. I've definitely had it since uni, and it is now like a house coat sort of cardigan snug situation that I just chuck on as a sort of like dressing gown. My partner also steals it and wears it all the time as well when he's like cooking and cleaning and just doing little pottery bits around the house. So like I do believe in like repurposing as well. It is just the fact that I don't want to be washing, wearing, contributing to having these plastics shed all over my space, personally. And now we have the second pile here, which is the percentage splits. So all of these will have at least some percentage of wool in. Again, some blends are more superior to others. So for example, I have this Cos knitted waistcoat here, and I'm pretty sure this is about like 80% wool. Let me just double check. So yeah, this is a blend of alpaca and regular wool, as well as 25% polyamide, so it's about 75% natural materials. So I will be keeping this. Again, eventually, many years from now, I'll probably try to have everything be 100% natural materials, but for now, I will definitely be keeping this. That's not worth me throwing away and trying to get rid of instantly for only 25% of the material, especially when I do wear it all the time, and I really love this colour as well. Can you tell I like red? I love red. However, we also have, for example, this Zara jumper, which I got about 5-6 years ago now, and I love it, to be fair. I still love this jumper. However, this is only 25% wool. And I think what frustrates me the most about the fashion industry at the moment is that this would have been listed and labelled as a wool jumper. It would have been 100% RHS wool blend, you know what I mean? And to me, I think that is misleading, because if you only have 25% of your wool in here, even if that is 100% certified responsible wool, like that's only 25% of it that is actually that wool. And I think a lot of brands like H&M and their sort of subsidiaries, so like And Other Stories and COS, they have been called out for that recently, because they will have labels on that say 100% certified wool, which means like it's like an ethically traded wool, and when you actually look at it, it's only 20% wool. But that 20% will be 100% ethical. So I think they've gotten away with making like cheap little digs like that to try and like trick the consumer into picking it up and purchasing it, thinking that it's got this high percentage of good quality material, when really it does not. And I remember this specifically being like advertised as a wool blend jumper, but I'm sorry, if you've got like 20% wool, that's not like wool like, yeah, it is blended with other things, but to me, I think if you're going to advertise it as the wool being at the forefront, it should be at least 50%, you know what I mean? Like, that's just me, I don't think we should be lied to. Finally, we have my fully natural material jumpers and cardigans. I can see this, it's gone. This stack slash pile now is full of some of my favourite jumpers and stuff of all time. And when I say fully wool as well, I have put everything in here that is above like 80% natural materials. So actually I could probably move this COS jumper over as well. This is 75%, but you know, that's close enough for me. Anything above 80%, most of it is 100% though in this stack, and this will all be definitely getting kept. I have like some Icelandic wool jumpers here from when I visited Iceland. I've got a lot of vintage stuff here. This is definitely something if you want to consider swapping out your clothes for more natural materials, more ethical materials, look for vintage stuff, because it is literally in the past like 10 to 15 years where the quality of these items has just dropped drastically, and consumers are just like eating it up, not knowing any different, and I think that is pretty shocking because they're cutting corners at literally every turn. So yes, that is partially why I'm doing this. I'd also like to say that obviously even though I am going for like 100% wool, 100% cotton, etc. eventually, there is obviously still an ethical bias to that. Like, it is still better to get more ethically derived cotton and more ethically derived wool. Not all cotton and wool is from an ethical source. A lot of cotton specifically actually uses like modern day slavery in some countries, so it's definitely worth checking that out. Organic cotton is 100% the best. Vintage as well, or second hand, anything like that that you can buy is always going to be better than buying polyester and nasty synthetic materials, especially for the environment. But also you got to think about the people who it's involving in its making and construction, because it's not fair to go out and buy a brand new 100% cotton top or whatever and be like, wow, look, I'm so ethical. Realistically, this cotton has probably been harvested by people who are getting 5 pence a day or something ridiculous for paid for that. So yes, always be aware of the ethicality behind it as well. Now, onto the books. So we're going to ignore this giant pile here of clothes that I'd already sorted out a few weeks ago that I still haven't actually put on Vinted, but this is my current stack of unhaul books. I have a lot of special editions and also duplicate editions in here. So for example, the Fairy Loot editions of the Bear and the Nightingale series, which I absolutely love. I just have the Illumicrate editions for when I was on my absolute tirade of getting all the special editions for everything a little while ago. I don't do this anymore, hence why I only need one set. I only need one set. I don't need to be greedy. We can sell these on to people who will love them and appreciate them more. And then I also have over here this stack. This stack in particular will be probably donated to my free little library that I'm going to set up in my tattoo studio. I do have a whole other stack of books, like a literal full bookshelf at my parents' house from when I moved out, which I literally just physically could not bring with me, that I had decided to sell on anyway. So a lot of that will be going there as well, and I'll probably show you that later at some point as well, whilst I sort this free little library out. But yes, I also have, as you've probably seen before in some of my previous videos, this whole bookshelf behind me here. I actually have two bookshelves in this house. I can't actually get all my books together because I just don't have the space with it being a new build. However, this bookshelf up here is mostly unread books. So all of this shelf here, pretty much all of this shelf behind me, there are some at the bottom I think that I have read, and then about half of this shelf here. These are all books that I have not read. I think I have about 200-ish unread books, which is, I know, really diabolical. I did, in fair play to myself, I did work at Waterstones for a little while, so I was utilising that 50% discount like no tomorrow. I was getting my bag, you know what I mean? But it has come to the point where I just have a silly amount, to be honest. And a lot of these also were COVID comfort buys, so don't judge me. But yes, I do have a silly amount. I have a lot of special editions coming in all the time, and because I do subscribe to The Broken Binding and Fairy Loot, I may be unsubscribing from Fairy Loot this year. We'll see how we go. I haven't been 100% impressed with their picks so far, but you know, we'll see. But I definitely do want to keep up with The Broken Binding, so I'm getting full new copies of all these epic fantasy series that are like this thick constantly. So yes, I need to get through these, decide what I want to prioritise, and decide if there's anything here that actually, you know, I'm maybe not interested anymore. It's maybe been on my TBR for like 6 or 7 years. Am I realistically ever going to get to it? We'll see. So this is all also organised by genre. So on this shelf I have, at the very, very top, which I don't think you can see, I have epic fantasy. Most of the top shelf is actually Wheel of Time, which I have read the first 3 books for, and I don't know actually whether I ever want to continue. I have been meaning to continue for about 2 years now, and I can't bring myself to do it. I don't think I'm enjoying them very much at all, to be honest. I don't understand the hype. I don't even think they're that particularly well written. I just don't really enjoy them very much. But I want to get to the ones that are written by Brandon Sanderson, because he is one of my favourite authors. And I also just want to be able to say, as an epic fantasy reader, that I have read The Wheel of Time. Like, that might sound really superficial to you, but I feel like anyone who is an epic fantasy reader will have read Wheel of Time, you know, will have read Game of Thrones. Like, it's like a rite of passage, you know what I mean? And I feel like I can't live my truth until I've finished that series. I know a lot of the tropes that have been inspiration for a lot of other my favourite series that I know come from The Wheel of Time. But also they take up so much space on my bookshelf, and I am debating listening to the audiobooks instead, but they also look really beautiful because they have those lovely matching spines. I'll probably show you in a bit of b-roll or whatever, but I have been debating potentially unhauling them. But we do go from, like I said, epic fantasy paperbacks down to sort of like transitional fantasy paperback. So, you know, we've got like The Demon King by Cinder Williams China, which could be like considered sort of YA new adult and also is maybe slightly paranormal. We've got like Mort by Cherry Pratchett up there. And then I come down onto my hardback epic fantasy and special edition sort of shelf, which goes all the way down here. I have a lot of Broken Bindings, full complete series that I just have not started and have not read, which is so embarrassing. And then above this, I go to YA fantasy paperbacks, and then I kind of had this like weird shelf of sort of witchy, botanical, slightly cozy fantasy-ish vibes, as well as sort of like slightly spooky vibes. I then come down to horror, and then I come below this down into YA sort of, again, witchy, paranormal, not epic fantasy. I've got some like romantasy here. So it kind of goes like romantasy, YA fantasy, and then sort of paranormally dark academia. You know, I've got like the Atlas 6 and 9000 stuff here. And then Right at the bottom, which you can't see, I have me sci-fi books down there as well, which I don't have too many of. I'm having to add like 2 to the pile because I hauled them recently, and I'm trying to have a bit of a no-buy year, to be honest, and I've been doing pretty well, and they're both only like tiny novellas, so, you know, I bought them on a gift card, so it's fine. Then on this side, on this far shelf, we have classics at the very top, which I don't think you can see. Then I have lots of adult romance paperbacks. Then I have a full shelf of stuff that I have actually read that is all kind of just like contemporary, modern classics, romances, YA. Then I have this little like half shelf here that is all stuff that I haven't read that is in the sort of contemporary, sort of can't be assigned into fantasy or any other sort of speculative fiction. It's pretty much more contemporary leaning, if that makes sense. It's not really got like a set genre. I've got like Florence Welch's poetry book next to like Tomorrow, 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 so I don't know. Below that, we have like graphic novels and manga. I have read probably like 60%, 70%? Yeah, I've read most of everything on that shelf, to be honest. I haven't read the last like 3 Death Notes, but aside from that, I've pretty much read everything. Then I have some middle grade below that. This is my middle grade have not read shelf. Well, at least half of it. The second half of this middle grade shelf is the middle grade that I have not read or need to reread, and then this half is stuff that I have read, and then the bottom shelf is just all middle grade that I've read. So probably, like I said, like these 2 shelves are pretty much entirely stuff that I have not read. This shelf is probably actually more like 70% stuff that I have read. So really it's like 2 and a third shelves of stuff that I haven't read, which is still really embarrassing and far, far more than any sane person actually needs in their life to get by and have a nice selection to go from whenever they want to read a new book. So it's time to have a look and see if there's anything that I can pull off these shelves that I might not actually want to keep hold of anymore and have lost interest in reading. I also don't want to get rid of for the sake of it though, so there are books on here that I have been needing to read for years that then have just sat there and then I've picked them up and have been like, oh my god, a new favourite, I should have read this ages ago. So I'm not bothered about necessarily the amount. Like, I'm fortunate enough to have a place where I can actually keep all these. Like, I'm not necessarily running out of space. It is more just that I get overwhelmed when I have too much choice, and I just like to keep it fresh. I like to refresh every so often and, you know, potentially pass them on to people who will enjoy them more. So let's take a closer look. So first we're coming to this epic fantasy sort of shelf here. Most of this I am pretty much going to leave, to be honest. Like I said, I have this whole Wheel of Time section here, which, you know, would free up a lot of space and would probably free up a lot of brain capacity as well. There are some things on here, for example, like Rage of Dragons up there. I have actually read that, but I would need to reread it if I was ever going to continue with the Fires of Vengeance. There's a lot of stuff on here that I will definitely be getting to at some point. Like, a lot of it is epic fantasy that I am very, very much interested in still. God, I'm seeing like Malazan sitting in there staring at me. But yes, and I'm hoping to actually get to a lot of it fairly soon-ish, because I do want to get back into reading my big chunky series, which I have been intimidated by for the past couple of years. However, I have actually just spotted Tad Williams, the Dragonbone Chair, cheeking out behind Toothless here, and I do actually now have the special editions from the Broken Binding down here, so I think that could be one that I could pull off. Well, that is an absolutely ginormous book that I have just freed up quite a bit of space with there. So yeah, I think I will probably pop this into the unhaul pile, because I do struggle to read English paperbacks. Like, it's not particularly floppy, to be honest, and I will probably be picking up the nice special editions that I have now if I'm going to read this, which I would love to do so soon. So this can probably go... Should this go on the Vinted pile or the Free Little Library pile? I'll put it on the Free Little Library pile for now, but I might change my mind because I'm pretty sure this was quite expensive. Again, moving down here, I have a lot of stuff that I just don't really ever want to get rid of. Like, I will definitely be reading and getting to, or at least trying, all of these. Oh, I do have a sort of like Asian fantasy section down here, which I honestly don't pick up as much Asian fantasy as I'd like to anymore. I have been debating about the Six Crimson Crames in the corner there, sticking out behind my candle, because I read one of her other series. I read one of her other series, the one about the sewing, like the Mulan sewing competition vibes. I can't remember its name. I did read the first one of that, and like, I kind of DNF'd that series. Like, it was good, it was fine, but I didn't like love it. But maybe they would be better. Decisions. Back to that in any case. But moving on, we have the YA sort of epic fantasy section up here. Again, I don't really think there's anything that I really want to get rid of. I don't know why Rhapsodic is up there either. That should probably not be there. That is definitely not YA. Because again, everything here I am still pretty interested in reading. Maybe The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia. Oh, and maybe This Vicious Grace as well. I've not really heard much, if anything, about either of those. I don't really know whether they're the vibes that I necessarily would gravitate towards if I'm picking anything up, so I might take both of those off, actually. What? Oh gosh, I've made a mess up there. But so we have here The Beautiful Ones by Sylvia Moreno Garcia, and we also have This Vicious Grace by Emily Theed. I think this is Greek inspired, I believe. So again, I'm not massively interested in that. But I don't know. I will read both of the synopses for this. Oh, see, look at that art though. That's really, oh my gosh. It's pretty stunning. I'm going to have to give this one a little read of the synopsis. And also, Sylvia Moreno Garcia, I read what's the mushroom book called? I read Mexican Gothic, that's it, by her, and I thought it was okay. It was pretty good. I think I gave it like a 4, but it could have delivered more for me. And although this is absolutely gorgeous, I mean, look at this. And I have heard a couple of really good things about this, but I just don't know whether the things and the people that I heard these good things from would have aligned with what I actually like in books anymore. So this could potentially be a sell for me. Okay, so I've read that and it sounds very sort of typical YA sort of romantic-y situation. I don't know whether I'm feeling it, to be honest. It's also kind of giving shot at me in the everyone she touches gets killed, so I don't know. I think this is going to go into the sell vintage pile here because it is a beautiful edition, but I just don't think I'm ever going to actually pick this up and reach for it. Oh no, this just all fell over onto my pile of hats and scarves. Next we are coming down to my sort of cozy fantasy, sort of weird cottagecore shelf, I guess. And I have A Skinful of Shadows by Frances Hardinge in here. I read a book by them literally probably like 10-15 years ago called The Lie Tree, I think, and I didn't like it very much, but then this has such a beautiful cover and it's been on my shelf for so long and it does sound really interesting to me and like I think I would like it now, so I think I'm going to leave that. I think I'm going to leave it. Oh, Sybil's Secret by Juliette Marillier. This is actually the sequel. Look at this cover, man. Make covers like this again, please. This is actually the sequel to Wildwood Dancing, I think, by Juliette Marillier, so I do need to get to that very soon. We've got The House Witch, we've got Lud in the Mist, which is actually a gift from a client, so thank you. I think everything on the shelf is stuff that I do tend to get to. This is why it's kind of empty as well, because I actually pick from and read a lot from this sort of genre, so it tends to be one that I reach for quite a lot, and most of it will get read eventually, so I'm not too worried about that. Same with horror here. That's why it looks really ugly and horribly organised and very messy. I also have The House at Watch Hill, which I think is kind of more paranormal, urban, romantasy, I guess. But yes, I think everything on here I do want to read. Maybe The Book Eaters. Potentially that has sat there a little while and I haven't heard the best things about that. But then, oh my god, did we see the dust there? That's embarrassing. But yeah, potentially The Book Eaters because I haven't heard the best things about it and I don't know whether my will to read it has left my body. So I'll have a think about that and maybe come back to it. Moving down, we have my romantasy. Again, pretty much everything on here I do plan to read at some point. I have already read A Discovery of Witches. I have already read Kingdom of the Wicked as well. So both of those are just like I would need to reread. I've also already read Fortuna Swan. There's a lot of first books on series on here that I've re-put back because I think I would have to reread them if I was ever going to read them again and keep going through because I cannot remember anything that's happened. To be fair, there is this one here, Until We Shatter, which I think I got, again, as a special edition in a book box, but I actually think I really, really just wanted the, they had like one of the hardcover wraparound leather protectors, and I really, really wanted it, so I think I got it just for that. But let's have a little read of the synopsis and see whether this could be one that we get rid of. Again, this sounds just very typical. Like, the edition is gorgeous, it's really nice. Let's see what's under this dust jacket as well. Ooh. Yeah, see, that is very nice. I am intrigued, but again, is it just something that I will ever actually reach for? I think it's kind of giving Six of Crows vibes, but in a maybe like a bit more of like a Persian sort of setting. I don't know. I'm not really feeling this one, to be honest. I think it's going to go onto the sell, or even maybe, to be honest, just the free little library pile, because I don't know whether anyone's actually going to necessarily want this. I haven't heard anything about it, so away it goes. Okay, moving down to these bottom few shelves here, I think, again, pretty much everything on here is something that I am still interested in. I do have Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare, which I really honestly don't particularly like Cassandra Clare very much, to be honest. But I have actually heard good things about Swordcatcher in this series, and that it's different from our Shadowhunter stuff. So maybe I would like that a little bit more. I do have, for some reason, 2 sets of the Atlas 6, and I haven't even read the Atlas 6. I don't know whether I like it. I have a lot of Olivia Bake here, which is just odd because I've never read anything by them, but I'm just convinced I'm going to really enjoy their writing. So I could maybe get rid of some of the Atlas editions. Probably the Warston special editions, because I only have 2 of them for some reason. So let's get these out. I think I'm actually going to get rid of and try and sell these beautiful special editions of these, because like I said, I've got these 3 here, which are also gorgeous and really nice, and I have the entire matching set for these, so I think I will keep these ones and get rid of the Warstones ones. And pretty much everything else here I am interested in reading in some point. Maybe not Long Live Evil. Again, I really do get some gems from book boxes. However, there's a lot of the time, because I don't get enough skips, I feel like I want about 50% of the books from book boxes, but instead you have to get 3/4 of them in a year, and I just don't. I do end up every so often with a book that I'm just not interested in, but I just don't have enough skips. So the Long Live Evil one is definitely kind of applied for that. But I actually have heard some pretty decent things about it since then, so maybe we'll keep that. We'll see. Moving down, we have a bit of a sci-fi shelf. It's an absolute mess down here. Please don't look too closely. Everything here I will be keeping because I do plan to read. Definitely going to get to that Becky Chambers soon as well. And finally, we are on the sort of classics and contemporary romance shelf here. My classics I'm just going to leave because I will, again, eventually get to all of those. I do have this sort of section here, which is stuff that I have not read yet. This is all stuff that I have read. This is all stuff that I have not read yet. And I do have like a couple of Tessa Baileys here, which I've kind of heard pretty bad things about. But I do really enjoy other Tessa Bailey books, so maybe I'll keep them and just see how I personally feel about it. I think I actually might get rid of the Heart Principle though. I did really enjoy their first book and the first book in that series, but I don't have the second one, and I've heard kind of really sad things about the third one, so I just don't think I'm ever going to pick that up. So that's going in the Free Little Library, I think. Fox Mulder here. So this is going in the Free Little Library pile. Next, moving down, we have a sort of, all of these are red contemporaries and stuff, so none of them are getting rid of. These are some, I just have If We Are Lies just by itself over there. Please ignore the fact that everything's knocked over. I just can never be bothered to tidy this shelf. Over here we have contemporary books that I have not read. I actually am currently reading My Dark Vanessa, so I'm going to take that off and move it away. This, by the way, I'm only like a few chapters in and I am absolutely loving it. It is harrowing, dark, horrendous. The character's so unlikable, but you also feel for her so deeply. It's already, I just know this is going to slap. Gap. I do have Lies We Sink to the Sea, which is, again, absolutely gorgeous, but I think, again, it might be some sort of Greek myth retelling. I'm not 100% sure, and I don't really feel those very much anymore. I also have Little Fires Everywhere by Celeste Ng, and I've heard only amazing things about that. However, I did try to read it once, and I did DNF it. I think I was only like 2 or 4 pages in, but you know, I don't know, something about the writing style just didn't click with me, so I'll consider those. I'll come back to them just in case. And finally, we've got these bottom 2 shelves, which again, I don't think I'm going to get rid of anything off these because I do plan to read them one day. So yes, that was my little unpull and sort out that I've just done there for you. I didn't really manage to pull that much off my bookshelves, but you know, we reduced it a little bit. So I will be setting up my Free Little Library very soon. There will be more books coming, like I said, from my parents' house, and that will make up honestly the bulk of the stuff that's going to go in the Free Little Library in the studio, and I will bring you with me for that setup and we can do that together, and that'll be a very fun little time, so stay tuned for that. I'm so excited to do that because I just think it's such a lovely idea that you can have like a sort of community shelf of stuff that you've maybe read, maybe don't necessarily love, or you could pass on and be like, oh, like I could recommend this for you if you like this just wasn't for me, you know what I mean? And I just like the idea that clients can bring some books as well and leave them if they don't want them, or they want to share their favourite book with someone. I just really like it as an idea, and I'm so excited to set it up properly in my studio. So yes, let's get cracking with that. Hi guys, we are here at my studio now. I have 2 giant bags full of books. If you can hear pitter pattering, this is Oti. Yep, he's also here at my studio. It is doggy friendly. We are here now to finally sort out and fill this little bookshelf that we've got behind me with these books and create my free little library. So let's get cracking. OT. It's a little bit dusty on here, I'm not gonna lie. Right, we are zoomed in. We are ready to go. I'm in like kind of Gollum squat position right now, so please pardon that, but let's get cracking. So I started by dividing them up into little subcategories here. So at the top we had middle grade and YA books. In the middle we had contemporary, speculative fiction and some romance books. And then at the very bottom I had some adult epic fantasy that I was just not feeling anymore. But this is the final result. I am so pleased with how it turned out. I can't wait for my clients to come in, have a little peruse of the shelves and maybe find a new favourite amongst them. Oti was very involved in this process, as you can tell. Hard at work or hardly working there, little fella. But yes, I'm so excited to see this community space flourish and thrive. I'm hoping people will be able to find new favourites and get lovely and comfy cozy in my studio when they come for a tattoo. Thank you so much for watching, I really appreciate it, and if you'd like to like and subscribe, I will be posting new videos very soon. Bye! And I will see you very soon in a new video. Bye!